Indiana basketball so far, much like his team, Myles Rice has been up and down. Blomingon, and Indiana men's basketball is a third of the way through its season. 11 games are in the books with a minimum of 19 to go, though will likely be more assuming the Hoosiers make the Big Ten tournament. With the usual Christmas pause in games upon us, it's a good time to look at Indiana's most important contributors and how they've fared so far. All players who have played 10 minutes per game will have a story devoted to them except Anthony Leal. The senior has not played in enough games. Leal only reached 10 minutes in 4 of the 6 games he played to have a workable sample size. We'll start with point guard Myles Rice. One note. Below you will see a graphic listing points produced, points allowed, net points, and foul trouble. Points produced and points allowed are included in the advanced box score provided to the media via live stats from each game. Points produced and points allowed are based on how many points a player is responsible for or allows while on the court based on a per 100 possession standard. The formula, developed by basketball analyst Dr. Dean Oliver, is way too complicated to explain here, but that's the basic premise. Net points is merely the points produced with points allowed subtracted. Foul trouble is a measure I did myself. Foul trouble is obviously important because it compromises the rotation, but if they play with fouls, it can also compromise their defense. A player qualified as being in foul trouble if A. They picked up 2 fouls in the first half, B. Picked up a third foul before 15 minutes are left in the second half, or C. Picked up a 4th foul before 5 minutes are left in the second half. The reason for this standard is to eliminate accumulated fouls late in the game that are done purposely to put the opposition at the free throw line. Those are not fouls that are bad or that necessarily compromise the team the way earlier fouls do. One thing that stands out when you look at Rice's game-by-game performance is that when he involves himself in the offense in terms of shots, he tends to be a lot more productive. That might seem obvious, but it's not true for every player, many of whom shoot regardless of whether they're hitting them. Rice rarely has a game where he takes a volume of shots and doesn't make them count. In the 5 games where Rice took 10 shots or more, he was over 50% in 4 of them. The only dud was a 1-for-11 performance against Louisville, a game in which Indiana was collectively terrible. Rice should almost certainly take more shots. He's taken fewer than 10 shots 7 times and fewer than 5 shots twice. Vital for a point guard, Rice is very good at free throws. He's converted 87.5%, though he needs to get to the line more as he only averages 2 attempts per game. Rice can be opportunistic defensively as 1.1 steals per game, though that's down from his 1.6 average at Washington State in 2023-24. Rice's overall advanced defensive stats are solid. He's one of the few players to cover himself well in conference games. At Bartrovic.com, Rice has a 5.2 defensive box plus-minus in Indiana's part of Big Ten games, a good rating. Consistency is the main thing. Rice has a wide variance in form in almost every aspect, whether it's scoring, defense, foul trouble. The game-to-game points on a graph are very dispersed. In scoring, for example, Rice has not had more than 2 games in a row where he's reached double-figure scoring. He's had 3 games over 20 points, but 5 games at 5 points or worse. His assist and steal totals similarly space themselves out. Rice also needs to improve his assist-to-turnover ratio. He has 38 assists to 31 turnovers, a plus 1.23 ratio. Rice ranks 90th among Big Ten players in the category and rates behind teammates Trey Galloway and Malik Renaud. Generally, point guards should rank near the top in this category, or at least within the top 18 among 18 Big Ten teams, and Rice is well short of that mark. Rice has had 4 games where he's been in foul trouble, but they've all come since the Gonzaga game at Battle for Atlantis, so that needs to be shored up. As the point guard, Rice is most vulnerable to Indiana's uncertainty as far as what it wants to be offensively. Some of the what needs work above is attributable to the team as much as it is to Rice. For example, is Rice a pass-first or score-first point guard? It seems to change by game. The glass-half-full view would be that Rice's talents give him an open role to do both. The glass half-empty view would suggest he needs his role defined more clearly.